Ryan here from Little King Watches, and today I'm going to dive into the often forgotten part about vintage watches, which is the flex band. This is a really cool ad that I found because I love my vintage watch ads. I have so many of these kicking around, so let's go. Those of you who don't know what they are going to be these old metal bracelets that you see on some vintage watches. So this is a 1940s Wittnauer, and this is going to be a stretch band. Now, when you put it on the wrist, it actually has quite the presence. And depending on the band, it's going to fit all size of wrists. The only issue is if you have an incredibly small wrist, then it can be a problem because they're not really able to be sized. So if it's already something that's a little bit too large when not stretched, it's not going to be able to work for you. But if you have a larger wrist, as you can see, there's almost endless space. Although I think it does look a little bit better when it is closer together. This one is a very unique design. It's an angular design. A lot of them are going to be more traditional, so just very rectangular, and they just stretch like this. You are going to have some interesting ones. I always think that this one is rather fascinating. It kind of has like almost like to me like an IWC. If you really think of kind of like the Aqua Timer look, those kind of 5-link bracelets, or the H bracelets, I think is what they call them. And so it really stretches like this. So when you fully stretch it out, it still keeps a really cool shape and actually changes the look depending on how much it's stretched. Then you're going to have some ones that actually are rectangular but have almost a texture to them, but still they're going to stretch in a traditional manner. I always think that these ones are kind of cool, so it looks like a little bit like a brick road. The yellow brick road, I guess, could be a funny way to say it, but that's just a visual. So it's just going to stretch the same way. So even though it looks like it's a bunch of small squares, it's still the standard rectangular stretch design. And then this one is just an incredible shape. So it almost has no wear to it, and also has an angular pull to it as well. And these are usually going to be in 16 or 18 millimeters. The next part I'm going to do is a bunch of steel variations that I have. Now that we're finished up with the gold bands, let's look at the standard steel bands. Very similar in design, but oftentimes I find they're even a little bit more dynamic because they reflect the light a little bit more. So if you look at these ones here, it definitely has a really cool, almost beveled edge on each individual, and this one actually stretches on an angle as well, which creates a cool visual when stretched. You have the standard rectangular stretch. You have some ones that are a combination of textured with a smooth edge, so really catches the light and reflects it differently. Then you're going to have these ones, which once again, just like the gold, looks kind of like that yellow brick road kind of design. It's just different textures on there, but it's going to be a standard square. This one actually is a brick design, so you can see this one pulls and creates a very cool visual when stretched. It doesn't open this one actually opens and allows you to adjust. So there's a little groove there that bites in, and you can actually adjust the length of one like that. Those are a little harder to find though, and I think actually a little more modern. Once again, this one has a triangular design to it. Then you have these ones, which look like they're going to open or manipulate in a different way, but once again, it's just the angular stretch, which is cool, but you can really see how it catches all of that light. And then one of my favorites, I don't know, maybe just this really Art Deco look. It kind of reminds me of actually almost more like even into the vintage inspired with that H-link design, but it's not. It's just a standard rectangular one that has that look. And then once again, on a 1940s Wittnauer. Now, I actually have seen some people and some customers of mine put these steel ones on a gold watch, or vice versa, to create a two-tone look, especially if the watch has any two-tone components. So if it's a steel case with gold hands, I've seen people play a lot with those, and it actually looks really cool and very Art Deco 1920s, 30s. Really sells that vibe. Thank you for looking at these stretch bands, kind of the often forgotten part of vintage watches, but I always have a ton of them if you are looking, and they are for sale, and they are extremely affordable. Oftentimes a lot less than leather, just because I have so many. I'll sell most of these between $10 and $20 per band, and they're going to range from 16 to 18 millimeters. Thank you for watching, and please look at littlekingwatches.com for a ton of affordable vintage watches.